Behind me is Nuckendore Wetland. It's what we call an ephemeral wetland, which means it fills when the river floods and then it eventually dries out. Other wetlands in the park have water in them all year round, although the levels still go up and down. You'll find different plants and animals in these wetlands depending on whether they like to stay wet or prefer to stay mostly dry. When locks and weirs were built along the river to control the flow of water, many of our wetland ended up staying permanently wet or permanently dry. This made it really hard for the plants and animals to grow, find food, build homes, and have babies. We had to study these environments closely to work out what it would take for them to be healthy again. I guess you could say we've taken a learning by doing approach, trying different things and adding or stopping the flow of water until we were able to recreate what I like to call the Goldilocks zone. Not too wet, not too dry, just right. We're still learning and adjusting our approach as we go. That's what river detectives like you and me do. We stay curious about what's happening around us and open to changing our mind when new information comes to light. Luckily for us, plants and animals cope okay with conditions outside of their Goldilocks zone, as long as the environment returns to their preferred zone every now and then. The important thing is to keep listening to what the environment is telling us.
Speaking of listening, you'll hear lots of birdsong and frogs croaking in the wetlands during the wet cycle. It's like the entire area comes to life once you just add a little bit of water. Plants, like the tangled lignum, wake up from a deep slumber, quickly growing new leaves and shoots that provide homes for fish, frogs and water bugs below the water, and nests for birds like swans and ibis above the water. Other birds like pelicans, egrets, spoonbills, dotterels and cormorants come to visit too, all hoping to get their share of the new food sources that pop up following a flooding event. Keep an eye out for the yellow-billed spoonbill. It's a tall white bird, often seen standing in the shallow waters, and it's one of my favourites to watch. It has a long, yellow beak, which is wider at the end like a spoon, and sifts it through the mud looking for yabbies, shrimp, small fish and bugs.
You might like to find a spot where you can sit quietly and watch the many different birds that explore the shallow areas, like the spoonbill, along with the ones that stick to the deeper water, and the ones in the trees. Think about what they might be eating, then consider how that food got there. Then how their food got there, and see if you can follow the linkages all the way back to the river. It might be more complicated than you think.
You might wonder why wetlands need to dry out at all, when there's so much activity happening in them when they're wet. Well, think about having a bath. If you stay in too long, you'll get all wrinkly. Too much water in a wetland for too long can do something similar to the plants that grow here. And just because it's quieter during the dry period doesn't mean there isn't life. New grasses and plants begin to grow, different animals like goannas, lace monitors and even echidnas move in. Frogs and yabbies burrow underground and lots of tiny critters take up homes in the crackling clay that emerges. Those cracks also trap seeds and help the water to enter quickly when the next flood arrives, waking up the animals sleeping underground.
Hey Owen, do you reckon our new recruits have what it takes to be professional scat hunters?
I reckon they do, Richie. So team, there are a few animals we haven't yet mentioned that sometimes leave calling cards along the banks of the wetlands.
He means scat, also known as poo.
If you follow the Nuckendore Wetland Trail, you're bound to encounter kangaroo scat,
or brush-tailed possum scat, microbat scat, emu scat, or Ricali scat.
Unfortunately, we'll also occasionally find fox and cat scat.
If you're really lucky, you might come across one of these. It looks like scat, but it's actually a bird pellet, probably coughed up by an owl, magpie, or a currawong. It contains the bits that the birds can't digest, like fur, teeth, bones, and the feathers.
Scat tells us a lot about what animals are in the area and how long ago they visited, based on how wet or how dry the scat is. So head to a wetland, keep your eyes to the ground, and you too can find some poo. Good luck.